Welcome everybody to another episode of Kick and Make Up. I'm your host, the American Hybrid. With me as always, Jeremy J.D. Dorsey, and a special guest today for our Caged Aggression 12 Victory Show, President of Caged Aggression Mixed Martial Arts, Mike Goodwin. What's going on, man?
Hey guys, thanks for having me back. I know you guys are super busy, so I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I'm going to do everything I can to keep the breakdowns from each fight short and sweet because I could go on all night. Real quick, I've never been so excited for an event. I've never put in so much time, so much work, so much effort to not only put the best fights together, but to collectively put on the best show in the area that I've ever seen as a fan, and all the fans included. I want to give a special shout out to our production manager, Jeremy Brashy. He's been with me day and night. We've traveled to over 15 different gyms through all this bad weather. We filmed over 45 guys and girls. To give you an inside look at their training and all the hard work that goes into putting on an event like this, these are 48 trained mixed martial artists all coming together under one roof. Go out to our website, cagedaggressionevents.com, go to our YouTube channel, go out and search and check out these countdown trailers. He's a mastermind at building hype for the fight and showing you a little inside, why we pick these guys and everything like that. So go out and check them out. Check out the event trailer. It's incredible. It'll be televised. I mean, this thing is, my goal this year was to have a breakthrough event to show people that we're in this for the long haul. We want to eventually get this thing on TV. And, Nick and I, we got to do transportation for the IFL a long time ago. I would have never in my wildest dreams thought that 6 years later we'd be doing an event like this. So I'm gassed up. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the time.
Always, man. I want to get some particulars out of the way. For those of you that haven't seen this before, this is the Kick and Make Up show. www.kickandmakeup is where you can find any of our archived past episodes that we've done. And we've covered, I think, pretty much anything and everything.
Everything, yeah.
Gotten into arguments, gotten into just the down and dirty of MMA. And today, this show is specifically for this Caged Aggression show. And I want to give a big shout out to Doug and everybody here at North Park Mall at Complete Nutrition. They are the super duper, like you said in one of your posts,
yes,
the super duper sponsor for this. So it is actually the Complete Nutrition presents Caged Aggression 12 Victory Show. So big thanks to everybody here. Get down here and check out the stuff if you got some time this week before you go to the show in a couple weeks. At Hybrid MMA is my Twitter to get us questions and anything you want to see on the show, you want us to talk about. At Kick and Makeup is Jeremy's. And like you said, Twitter handle for you, what's that?
Caged Aggression MMA. You can Google it, Twitter it, Facebook, Instagram. I got it everywhere so you guys can stay up to date on what we're doing.
We've also got our Kick and Makeup Facebook group page that all these little videos will be on later on the week. You can comment on and see who you want to win the fights. And we've got a lot of good threads going on right now, and we will continue to do that this week. So make sure to invite yourself into the group, and we will get you in. And that's about it, man. I want to dig right into all these fights, man. I am so excited to be commentating. Jeremy, I know you are too.
Yeah, man.
2 weeks, 11 days, excuse me, not even 2 weeks. Under 2 weeks, 11 days away. I cannot wait to get back there and just go crazy on this card, man. And I know these guys have been training hard, and we're just going to start off with the Friday night. So Friday night, March 14th, at the River Center is the amateur card, and then the following night, March 15th, Saturday, is the pro fight. So we are going to start off this show today breaking down the amateur card, which is Friday night. And we're going to start off with Tony Green versus Alante Shorter, and just give us a little breakdown of what you think of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, this fight right here, it's a debut fight. I like to have a debut fight on every event that we have, and not just a typical debut where somebody says, you know what, I want to try this thing and get in the cage and see what happens. We've hand-selected these two guys that have never fought before because they are training hard. They're training with good camps. They're putting in the time that it takes to be presented in a Caged Aggression event. We want high-quality fighters, and it's tough when you put a debut fight together because there's so much uncertainty behind what's going to happen. So I'm basing this fight on who these guys are training with, the time they're putting in, and I think it's a perfect way to open the show. Alante Shorter, he trains Militich Fighting Systems. We've got a lot of guys from that camp. Eric Showtime Shelton, everybody knows him from the Caged Aggression Circle. He shot me a message and said, I'm taking this guy under my wing and I want to give him a shot. What do you think for March? Eric Shelton is obviously been dominant in cage aggression, and anybody he puts his name behind, I'm willing to listen to. Tony Green on the other side of the fence. He started training out at Hard Drive in Cedar Rapids. He's now working exclusively with Zach Mills and some other guys that that are putting him through the ringer because they know what it takes to be in our show and in our cage. So you got two stand-up guys, two well-rounded for being a debut because of who they train with. So I'm excited to see who's going to be able to overcome the nervousness and the big lights and the big presentation and just let their training talk. So yeah, that's how we're going to open it up. 2 debut fights at 155 and 2 debut fighters, and it should be a great way to start the night.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to start the night, especially Jeremy and I have a good time commentating debut fighters.
Yes.
We're trying to coin berserker mode and a few other things. When you've got 2 guys, I mean, one guy, the shoulders with the endorsement from Shelton, you can't get any better than that. And so that's exciting to hear. And it's just, like you said, the fight could be over in the first couple seconds because they just go out there and throw caution to the wind. But it's also nice to see guys that are debuting that kind of sit back in the pocket and wait a little bit and are patient. And you never know. You never know till you get there. So I think that's an awesome idea to kick the fight off, the whole weekend off, with some debut guys and see what they got. See if they can live up to the hype of the card.
Our last big event at the River Center, big event in October, a debut fighter ended up getting a Superman punch knockout. It just happened to make the highlight reel and the event trailer for this event. So you just never know. I mean, a debut can take home fight of the night. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I darn near jumped out of my seat for that one.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was definitely sort of surprising, but not really. I mean, a lot of these guys have. They have endorsements from, fighters about the camps, how good they are. You're not just going to put somebody out there who just started 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Just because it's their first fight doesn't mean that they haven't been training for a long time. So
Right.
I know it's going to be a good one.
Yep.
And I want to just finish it too with anybody watching this that hasn't been to a cage aggression show. These guys are debuting and we haven't seen them yet, but the fact that they made the cut to be on the show says a lot, because I know you've talked about in the past that there's a lot of people that email and want to be on these shows. Having been in the Quad Cities for a while, these are the upper echelon of mixed martial arts shows, professional and amateur, in our area. So the fact that these 2 guys are on this list at all says a lot. And so we wish them the best of luck from Kick Makeup, and very happy and excited to commentate for them.
Awesome.
Our next fight is DeMarco Teague and Joe Bentahala. And we know DeMarco a little bit, but kind of give us a little breakdown about who Joe is and what's going to happen.
Yeah. DeMarco Teague, he's came on the scene and kind of made an impressive impact. The guy has had 3 fights. He is currently undefeated, 3-0, but he comes out and he grinds. I mean, he's got 3 fights, 3 decision victories. He goes the distance, no matter who it is, no matter how big they are, no matter their skill set. He's fought 3 totally different kinds of fighters too, and he overcomes adversity. I typically have him open the show because he likes to. I thought this one needed to wait a little bit because he's getting better every day. He just recently signed up down there at Militich, so he's in there with a great camp and getting him ready these last few weeks. Joe Bentahala, I tell you what, this kid debuted a couple months ago. I went to a show, Pinnacle, up in Dubuque, and I say that there's a story behind every matchup. Our Challengers event that we had in December to kind of start setting up the March event, DeMarco fought a guy, and he grinded out a decision, pretty much a dominant victory, all 3 rounds. Ironically, that same opponent fought Joe in his debut up at Pinnacle. Joe came out, was a pretty quick fight, I believe 45 seconds, and he got in a nasty knockout. I mean, I'm talking one of those knockouts where, it silences the crowd and his opponent's face down, and I was immediately drawn to him. I got to know him a little bit when we went up and filmed him, and he's just a good kid, man. He trains his ass off. He's well-rounded. He trains with guys like Eric Vo and Cole Williams from Bellator, and he's putting in the right work with the right guys to come here and face somebody that's obviously well-rounded enough to grind out a victory. So one thing that Joe pointed out when I offered him the fight was DeMarco has never been hit by somebody like me. So I expect fireworks in this one because DeMarco can take a punch, but he's still new to the game a little bit. So yeah, this one's going to be fun.
I love it when fighters too come out and they say lines like that, because already they're throwing the bar up there before they even fight. So you're expecting that already, and that to add that amount of pressure to yourself against somebody like a DeMarco Teague who is still learning, but we've seen has pretty heavy hands for being so young, and he's made a little bit of a name for himself already. Says enough to where I believe that the beginning of this first one is going to be, our first round is going to be some heavy hands to see who can take it and where it's going to go from there. I know you've also called a few DeMarco fights and
right. Oh yeah. Definitely, like you said, well-rounded, good on the ground. One thing I wanted to say though is I was really excited at the Challengers show. Just the whole concept, just to take a step back to that and just to see those guys who were, beyond hungry and to put on a show like that. Like it was probably, my top 2 or 3, shows that we've done. Just fun, a lot of, a ton of action. And then there was a lot of fighters who we hadn't personally seen yet.
Sure.
And, just to think that this show can be a little bit of that show and then, have some of the names that we're a little bit more familiar with too is amazing. So I can't wait for this one.
Well, it helped a lot to do the Challengers show because it goes back into the whole putting in the time and being selective and matching guys up stylistically and by, their skill sets and their level of quality, where they're at in their career. This Challengers event gave us the opportunity to find newer guys that were literally fighting for a spot in the big show,
right.
Across the street at the River Center. So I love the concept. I'd like to do it again because we were able to take those winners and match them up with even higher competition. And man, Fridays, a lot of people are saying, I'm going to go to the Saturday show because it's all professional. As I'm scrolling through the fight card on Friday, it's so stacked, and we've gotten so good at putting amateur cards together that, man, it's a coin flip.
Oh yeah.
Our next fight of the night is Rory Schwass versus Mike Vasquez, and we are very familiar with both these guys. But why don't you give a breakdown for some of those people that are not?
These are jits guys. You gotta mix in a fight card. To me, it's got to be the fight card's got to be well rounded. You can't just have a bunch of wrestlers. You can't just have all stand-up guys. This is mixed martial arts. So right here we got a couple jiu-jitsu practitioners. Mike Vasquez, no stranger to cage aggression. He's been back in the early days, and now he's with Spencer Fisher, and his skill set's evolving quickly. He loves the ground game. And then you take a guy like Rory Schwass, who his nickname's Gumby for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
He actually impressed me when last March when he fought Robert Reed. I mean, Robert Reed was dominant and strong, and was kind of controlling the fight, but Rory was comfortable. 5-round battle. Yeah. He can take a punch. He's very, very good on the ground. So to take two guys that love the ground game and that's their favorite thing, and put them up against each other, I mean, whose craft is better right now?
Right. And I know Rory, which makes this fight interesting, is he was with Spencer for a little while.
Right.
So they're both, I believe these guys did train with each other for a short amount of time. That always adds a little bit into the fight because you know a little bit about your opponent. And yes, they have improved and graduated onto different teams and stuff like that, but there's always the roots of a fighter, and so having trained together, that makes it interesting. Both these guys, like you said, can take a shot. Rory took a lot of shots from Reed that night, which impressed me and JD as well, and Vasquez is one too that kind of pushes the pace and goes towards you, throws it on, but then if it hits the ground, not afraid to do that. So
right.
You say this is a jits fight, but half the time when that happens, it ends up being a stand-up war.
Yeah.
You never know. So this is one of those two that I'm really excited to see these two guys fight.
Yeah, Rory is sort of unassuming. You look at him and you don't really think that he's going to be as good as he is or able to handle the things that he's able to handle. But man, like you said, he really impressed me the last time we got to see him. And I think Vasquez, we've seen enough of him to know exactly what to expect from him. Imposing in the cage. He was I remember the very first show that I called, he was one of the guys I was most impressed with during that show. And it's going to be good to see him in there again.
Right. Perfect fight to lead into the next one, which, oh man, I might say that I'm very excited about this fight as well, man.
Yes.
Calvin Glover versus Marcus Brems, and we've got grins on our face because Calvin Glover's last fight was ridiculous.
Yes.
Ridiculously awesome to watch him turn it up the last 10 seconds of the fight.
Yeah.
But give a breakdown, too, of these two guys.
Well, you know, Calvin Glover is exactly why the Challenger Series worked, because we need to find out where these guys are and how they, you know, how they match up with some of maybe our more seasoned guys in the cage aggression bubble. I was a little nervous at first, you know, and I think, you know, Jason Schaefer is who he fought, and Jason had some things going on, no excuses. It started off extremely slow, and I wondered, and there was a part of me during that first round where I wanted to, you know, tell the referee, man, let's go, get him going. But when the switch was flipped, it was flipped. I mean, with an exclamation mark. If you guys have time, go out to our YouTube channel or go to YouTube and search Calvin Glover caged aggression and watch the fight. I mean, when he finally let him go, he let him go in a way that was just devastating and fast and accurate. Marcus Brems, we know this guy, man. I mean, this guy has been with us from the beginning. He's only fought for us. I've watched his evolution. It's been incredible. I mean, when the guy does something, he does it. When he says he's going to do something, he does it. He puts in the time to make it work. I can't wait to see his evolution. I can't wait to see him with a fighter that kind of matches up stylistically beautiful. I mean, they almost mirror each other as far as their height and their physique and everything. And man, I expect nothing less than fireworks.
Right.
These guys.
And I talked to Marcus a lot too. I know when he was injured for a little while last year, completely devastated. When he was finally better to come back, his training improved 1,000%. Yeah. He's one of those two that even said that he needs to be pushed a little bit to have that trigger hit, because that's not his normal part of his personality, to go out there, you know, bloodthirsty. And this is a perfect time where he's going to get tested a little bit. And I think he works best under pressure and works best when tested. And you couldn't ask for, you know, a more exciting fight than this. And it's only the fourth fight in.
Right.
So this one could be, depending on what happens, you know, before this point, the tipping point to really get the night going. Yeah. If these guys fight to their full potential. I want to see this fight right now.
Yeah, and just to think about Glover's last fight, and you know how there was just like a light switch that just went off in his head, and it was amazing to see, just to see something that was just, you know, it was kind of slow, and we were even commentating and saying like any time now. And then just to see it like boom, and then, you know, just the aggression. I wonder if he's gonna come out in this fight like that, or is he gonna ease his way in again and, you know, sort of go like that. And I think if you're Marcus Brems, you know, like you said, we've seen him before. We know his cardio is up to, you know, is on an incredible level. Yeah. Would he be better off trying to, you know, possibly slow Glover down a little bit and see if he can extend the fight, because we don't know how Glover's been in the, you know, second or the, you know, third round. So you know, that's where strategy comes into play. It's one of those fights where you're excited just to see these guys knock each other, you know, senseless, but there's always that underlying strategy where, you know, are you going to come out aggressive? Are you going to come out laid back? So either way, it's you know, great fight. Glad that it's able to be on this card. Yeah,
I mean, realistically, Marcus has never been tested by somebody that's coming out and throwing bombs like that. Right. He really hasn't. So we don't know how he's going to do, you know, under a situation like that. And again, like you just said, we don't know how CJ's going to do in the later rounds. Right. I mean, I love the fight.
Bubba Straw and Royce Arnold is the next fight of the night. Royce Arnold, also no stranger to cage aggression. Bubba Straw, what do you know about this fight, man?
Well, we were going to talk about this on the pro card, but I mean, look at that. You got two guys that are basically on the cusp of going pro, deservingly. They put in the time. They're right there at their skill level, and they're the fifth fight of the night. I mean, up and down this card, when you've got guys like that fighting fifth, you're in for a treat. You know, we tried to build a lot of value into the ticket price and everything. So let's get right into it. Royce Arnold. 145 cage aggression champion, has made the move to 135. I've always thought that was a good thing for Royce, because he has the body type and the physique. If he cuts down to 35, he's going to be huge. Right. He's got the length and he's got the height. He is no stranger. I mean, if you're in the cage aggression circle, you know Royce Arnold. Very well rounded. Had a super fight with David Harris. It was awesome to watch. So when he decided to go to 35, you know, it was a challenge for me, because I want to give him quality competition like everybody else. And I just got lucky, and Bubba Straw landed in my lap. He is an undefeated 7-0 fighter that is dominant in every aspect of the game. I mean, the guy is going out and beating guys that are wrestlers. He's going out and beating guys that are stand-up experts. He is probably one of the most confident younger fighters I've met, and he's just in there to get the job done. You know what I mean? He doesn't really care about all the extra stuff. He just wants to go in and do his part. Like I said, I think this is a defining moment in both of their careers, where I'm not saying either guy isn't ready to go pro if they win or lose, but I mean, I definitely think that the winner of this should make the jump. When you look at the matchups, you know, and the videos when they come out for this matchup, again, they mirror each other. Their height is about the same, their physique, their reach. When you get fights like that, I mean, it's beautiful, because it's almost like you're fighting yourself, and those make for great fights. I'm super excited for this fight, because there's not really any uncertainty. They're two very well-rounded amateur fighters about to go pro, and that's excitement. Right,
and whenever you have that too, that does add a little bit more to it when your next fight could potentially be in a completely different division, professional division. We've seen Royce fight a lot. We all know Royce, and the level of his training is through the roof. Yeah. I like how you said that Bubba Straw is very confident. That's something that I've always thought Royce Arnold, whatever's going on in the fight, he still has like this stoic face, to where he can be losing, but he's still pushing forward, still trying to get things off. And if you got an undefeated Bubba Straw, he's never lost. He's not gonna have any quit in him either. And you've got those two guys meeting in the middle of the cage. You know, you're gonna be in for a treat, and I'm very excited to see this fight also and see what Royce has got planned for us.
Yeah, I love seeing fighters who I haven't seen before, and just hearing your description of Bubba Straw, I'm, you know, really excited to see that. Like you said, we've seen Royce before. Mm-hmm. He's one of those guys that shows, you know, like you said, has a stoic face, but just, you know, in the way that he fights, there's no fear. Like there's some guys that are, you know, sort of tentative. He's calculating, but he's not afraid to mix it up too. Yeah. Just like we saw in the David Harris fight. I mean, that was, and then that, you know, that goes to speak on this card too. Was the David Harris fight, was that a main event or a co-main event? I know it was really high.
Yeah, and at 55. I mean, he's down to 35 for this fight, where he needs to be as a professional fighter. Yeah. You know, you're right.
Yep, and you know, just to see that's, you know, where in the middle of this card just shows you how incredibly stacked it is, and you know, I keep saying we're excited, but it's past excitement at this point. You know.
So after Bubba Straw and Royce Arnold get it in, Cody Burke and Tyler Freeze, and also so very excited for this one too. Cody Burke, what do you know about him, and Tyler Freeze? Let's get a little info.
Well, you know, I'm no stranger to trying to do firsts. I love first ever. Well, this is our inaugural strawweight fight. That's a 115-pound fight. Two guys. Don't let that fool you. Don't think because these guys weigh 115 pounds that they're not, from start to finish, action-packed, well-rounded, strong guys at that weight class. So Kevin Burke, Cody's brother, they are both fighters, of course, actually won on the Challenger show. He earned a spot. These guys, man, they're more than just brothers. You know, the camaraderie they have as fighters and training partners, and you know, and family. Kevin handed this spot over to Cody. You know, he wants Cody to, you know, have some opportunities like this, and he wants him to, you know, go in and win in impressive fashion in a big show. If you live in the area, or you know the Burke twins, these guys have been training since they were like 15 years old. You know, I gave them my word when they turned 18 that I was going to get them in the cage, and we've watched them, you know, their progression. They are dangerous on the ground, and they are not necessarily squirrely, but they're scary because you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, they can get you just like that. Now you take a guy like Tyler Freeze. I believe he is 7-0 as well. He's undefeated. training exclusively and regularly with Spencer Fisher. You know, this is one of Spencer's prodigies, you know, newer guys he's bringing up with him. And, man, I went in and watched him train. His stand-up is phenomenal. He's very comfortable on the ground. He's strong, especially for a strawweight. This one's going to surprise a lot of people. You know, this might be a sleeper if you don't know these guys. This could easily be fight of the night. I absolutely have no idea how this fight's going to go as far as my predictions or, you know, what craft is going to be dominant in this fight. I just know it's getting a lot of buzz because people know these guys. You know, I love the fight. I mean, in every aspect I love it. If it goes to the ground, if they're standing up, but every fight starts on the feet, and these guys know how to throw some kicks and some punches, so it's going to be an awesome one.
Yeah, the Burks have definitely been enjoyable to watch. Like you said, I think I've commentated for them even on some other cards also, and they just keep improving, and they're still very, very young. And you said squirrely, I like to call them little wiry guys.
Yeah.
Because you don't, even as small as they are on the ground too, they're very powerful. And there's suction cup too. You can't get them off, and they're back up. They're not afraid to throw. Like I said, a lot of people here 115 pounds and just kind of discard it, throw it off to the side. You get hit, that hurts. I don't care if you're a heavyweight, lightweight, strawweight, you get punched in the face, it hurts. And these guys are keep improving, and I'm excited to see them. And Tyler Freeze also under Spencer. Whenever Spencer takes somebody under their wing, and just to remind everybody, that was Anthony Nachi about 3-4 years ago. Where's he at now?
Sure.
We see that, but it starts with somebody taking you under your wing, and Spencer Fish is never a bad person to be under his wing. So I'm really excited to see him fight, and also for Burke to fight again.
I want to point something out too about the Burke twins. These guys, you don't let the record fool you, because they have fought the best 125 guys around. I mean, you're talking about the likes of Andre Avila and Andrew Boosie and dominant 125-pound fighters. They're not afraid to fight anybody. It's not a conversation about, well, who else do you have? I don't really feel comfortable. That's my opponent. I'm taking it, and I'm going to do everything I can to beat him. So that's huge, man. At the amateur level, for guys to fight, they're not training for a specific person. They're training to fight, and they want to fight the best guys to get better, and I commend that. That's a big deal.
I think more so than anything, I'm excited to just see the 115s.
Yeah.
You know, see that get going, and because I know there's a lot of guys who you see at 125, and you know that if they could, you know, if they were able to drop that next 10, that they'd be, you know, incredible at that level. So, and you know, the Burke guys are definitely two guys that you would look at them and say, yeah, if you took that extra 10 off, you know, you would really be able to do some damage at 115. So just to see the brand expanding into that, you know, direction too is great.
So next on the card, Chance Kretzinger versus Shane Stewart. Very impressed with Shane the last couple of times we've seen him, and excited for this one. But what do you know about this fight, Michael?
Woo! Okay, so this one might get me a little crazy, because these two guys are the epitome of a transformation. You know, these guys that got into the sport and took it 150%. They train their asses off, and their fighting styles are so incredibly matched up. Man, this one, I went and watched Chance's last fight. The guy had incredible stand-up for where he's at in his career. And you know what? I've now been able to watch, you know, these pro fighters, these legends per se, that have been in the business game a lot longer than me. So for me to say, you know, this kid's stand up and this kid's incredible is a big deal. Coming off a nasty head kick knockout, the whole fight just very well rounded, very composed, very I don't want to say methodical, but smooth in his approach. You know, he wasn't you know, action junkie or coming out. He was a well-rounded fighter, and I was shocked, man. And it made me even more confident in this matchup, because Shane Stewart, ironically, also coming off a nasty head kick knockout. You know, the stories and the styles,
right.
and you know, you got 2 4-1 guys, 2 guys coming off nasty head kick knockouts, 2 stand-up guys. I mean, we watch Shane and Josh Neal. He wanted to stand and bang.
Yeah.
You know, it's not saying that he wasn't good on his back or on the ground, but he wants to stand and fight. So does Chance. I mean, flip a coin, man, because you got 2 guys that are coming out there in this place is going to erupt when they come out. They both have a huge fan base. Man, I am proud to present guys like this, especially when they're amateurs, because I mean, these guys have the potential to be the real deal, next big thing, and I'm proud to be able to present them in a way that helps them get there. So this one's going to be awesome.
Like you say, when the coin flips like that too are so hard to watch sometimes, because you're coming in exactly the same, perfectly matched up, and you know it's not going to be a perfect ending.
Yeah.
Both fighters are going there expecting to win, and somebody's coming out of there obviously the loser, because that's the nature of it. You just don't know who, because I mean, it's exactly the same coming in.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see this too. The Shane Stewart and Josh Neal fight was amazing that we watched. I really liked commentating that one. He really listened to Spencer in the corner, and you don't see that very often, where you just watch the fighter literally do what he's being told and not completely throw that game plan to the side and do his own thing. And then just hearing you talk about this Chance guy. Interesting. It's going to be an interesting fight.
Yeah, he's up in the Des Moines area. Paul Burr, WWFC champ, trains with Josh Neer. I mean, Nate Williams, who is pretty close to the UFC. I mean, you have to train with guys that are better than you, and you have to train with proven mixed martial artists that have made it to the big stage, because those guys are going to make you better on a daily basis, and both of these guys do. I mean, you got one training with Spencer Fisher, you got one training with Josh Neer. I mean, what else could you ask for?
Right. And that's interesting right there, too.
Yeah.
You got the coaches who come from the same camp originally. I mean, there's a lot of interesting side facts to this fight.
Yeah, and I say this all the time, but, I mean, I start a fight card 2-3 months out, because every single fight is important to me, and I want up and down the entire card for either guy to be able to win that fight, but I like a story behind it. The way we promote these fighters and the matchups, I mean, it's not just two guys getting in the cage. There's so much more than that.
And I mean, that's what I was going to speak on, was the whole matchmaking process. And there's one thing that you can trust, and each of of all the shows that we've done, I might be able to think of one or two fights out of the countless number of fights that we've done that have been somewhat of a dud, where you were just like, that didn't really live up to expectations.
Sure.
And that's an incredible sort of record to have. And that's one thing that you can trust with the Cage Aggression brand, is that these guys are going to be matched up well. They're going to be fights that are going to give you what you want to see, whether that's a knockout, whether that's going the distance, whether that's a submission. There's going to be something in each fight that's going to give you exactly what you paid for. So, you could come in and, be a fan of the sport and not know anybody on the card and still walk away impressed, which is what I'm sure a lot of these people will do when they come and see the show on March 14th and 15th.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. Duds happen, and that's not on the matchmaker. That's just in the nature. You've got two good fighters. Sometimes they both just an F fight happens. Yeah. But what you were saying too, like, there's been 0 fights to where you went in there going, oh man, this is just one of those fights that are match made for a knockout. And that's very rare. Even on the highest level of some competitions, that there's feeder fights, and there are fights that are put in there strictly to watch somebody get knocked out. Yep. I know that's not something you do or ever will do, and that's why those people watching, if you haven't been to a Cage Aggression show, get your butts out to this weekend or to next weekend and watch, because I mean, it's just ridiculously awesome, man.
Yeah, thank you.
So going into the next fight, man, interesting.
Yes.
Josh Neal and Adam Gilligan. My opinion just want to flow already, but go ahead and talk to me about this fight, man.
Obviously, it is right after the last fight we talked about, because there's a lot of top contender who's fighting for that 55 belt implications with these 4 fighters. I'm going to start with Adam Gilligan, because he's already been down that road, and he's fought for our title. He fought David Harris. It is still to date one of the best fights I've ever seen locally. It's one of the best fights in our cage, hands down. I mean, it was an absolute 5-round war. I love this kid. He is a hard worker. He is a man of his word. If he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it to the best of his ability. He's going to put everything he has into it. I was excited when he said he was, interested in coming back in March, but man, when I offered him Josh Neal, and he, I even told him this, he said, I like that. I love that matchup. I kind of figured it was going to be him eventually. And, it's cool when you offer a guy a fight and he already had that in the back of his mind. You know, it gets me excited because you see what I see. You know what I mean? And I mean, let's be real. Josh Neal, he's another one that the evolution continues.
Right.
You know, from his first fight to now, he's getting better and better. And you know, in the Challenger show, he displayed a lot more stand-up. You know, and I don't know if that's because, you know, his last fight before that was a lot of it was ground, and he wanted to, you know, show a little bit more of his well-roundedness. But I love the evolution. And I'll tell you what, if Adam Gilligan comes out and fights like he did David Harris, this is an absolute war. This is a fight that's talked about forever because Josh Neal's strong, he's well-rounded, he trains with beasts, obviously. So does Adam Gilligan. Obviously, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm stoked. That's a phenomenal fight. I can't wait for that.
And that's why I just had a grin on my face too, because it's a jump up in competition for Neal.
Yeah,
definitely,
absolutely.
And I think that's what your cards are all about too. It's, you know, there is not a fast track to the top, but it's faster than other organizations too, to where you want to be a fighter. We're gonna give you some fights, and then after a while, you're gonna start getting some bigger fights and bigger fights. And I think this one too is one of those where he sees Gilligan and knows that he's got to step it up.
Oh yeah.
And in knowing him too and talking to him, he is a workhorse in the gym. Cardio, strength and conditioning, and like you said, coming out of MFS, they're not gonna send him into this fight ill prepared.
Right.
So but I just smiled because he's said in the past he wants some competition, and he got his wish for this fight. Yeah. It's going to be awesome to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, just knowing Gilligan's style, I just wonder if he's going to come in and overwhelm Neal, you know, because Gilligan's not going to hold back at all. And, you know, like you said, the fight that he had with David Harris was incredible. And, you know, I don't know. Just, I mean, we get to certain points on this card, and it's just like, we're at the point now where each of these could be main events for another card. So, and that's, I mean, just go to the next fight.
That's a perfect segue to main events for the next card, because we have a former main eventer from the last card, Brent Lee versus Jake Childers. This is for the bantamweight title, amateur title. Man, I'm enjoying watching Brent Lee improve.
Yeah.
Jake Childers is also somebody that has just gotten a lot better lately and very fun to watch. And how did you come about with this matchmaking?
Well, this one has a lot of history and a lot of thought because, you know, Jake's coach, Bob Long, said he wants Jake at 35. Obviously, Brent Lee wanted to drop down to 35. And, you know, here's a couple little backstories to this. Brent Lee fought last March. He fought primarily a ground guy in Justin Wetzel. Justin Wetzel, you know, sorry Brent, but Justin Wetzel dominated the fight. But it also created something in Brent that said, I'm not having that, you know, and he moved over to Militich, and this guy's putting in 2-a-days, and his evolution in just 1 year has been outstanding. So to me, it made sense to give him a tough fight at the Challenger show to see if he was ready for for that title shot, or maybe his opponent was. That's what I was looking for, was somebody to some quality to fight for this vacant title. Well, he has a very impressive, very well-rounded performance. You could tell his ground game has leaps and bounds from the last time we saw him. Well, let's move over to Jake Childers. He fought Justin Wetzel as well, and that was a 5-round absolute war in July. To be perfectly honest with you guys, I walked into the cage with the belt, and I said to Jake's coach, I think he got that one. You know, watching the fight back, Wetzel did win that fight, but in the moment, I thought Jake won. It was outstanding. I mean, back and forth, 5 complete rounds. Don't let that fight fool you, though, because Jake is dropping to 35 where he belongs, and Jake has also improved leaps and bounds. I just watched Jake in his last fight put a guy to sleep very quick, very dominant. I mean, he went in, no business, took him down, took his back, choked him all the way unconscious, and actually pointed at me when he was done. Like, he is for real. I tell you what, this is our first title fight on the Friday portion of the card out of 5 title fights. And, I mean, how do you even – seriously. This one right here, folks, that one is worth the price of admission alone. I put my word on that. I have watched these guys. I've followed them. I've studied them. That is going to be a war.
And that's what you said, too, the last time we saw Brent Lee with a title fight, and he did step up, and everybody had some questions about Brent Lee for the title. Okay, we'll see. He's improved, but I know there was a lot of people that were kind of questioning: is he title fight material?
Sure.
What's he gonna do? How's he improved? And he improved leaps and bounds and showed everybody that night that he does belong there in these title fights.
Yeah. He
is improving enough to be a challenge for anybody. And yeah, like you said, a whole different Brent Lee. I mean, a complete opposite of like this time last year, this time a year and a half ago. And I think it's going to be an awesome fight. Great way to kick off the titles.
Right, and like you said, the guys in caged aggression get pushes, and it's cool to see him go from someone who was sort of middling to getting a push towards a title, and the determination that he has. And I mean, personally, I like it that since I've been able to come aboard and do this, that I know a lot of the fighters, and I've been able to talk to them and sort of pick their brain and interact with them outside of just fighting stuff, and you get to really see that these guys, they're the real deal. They're not just, they don't just come in and just say, okay, well, yeah, I'm gonna fight 2-3 weeks out and say, okay, now I gotta get serious. Get serious. These guys eat, sleep, breathe fighting all the time. And just sitting next to Brent at our Kick and Make Up Awards, at the end of the year, and just hearing him point out little things that I wouldn't even see in a UFC fight just shows that that's a different level of determination and a different level of analysis that he sees and that only a fighter would see, because I haven't fought, and just to see him be able to do that and knowing that his opponent is a scary guy too.
Man,
just to see something like that on the card,
you could see this last fight with Jake. I mean, it was incredible, man.
Right.
And he wasn't fighting a slouch. Let's put that out there. He was fighting for another promotions title. It was a rematch, and I'm telling you, I mean, these guys both have guaranteed finishes, but not at your amateur, I'm going to finish him, I'm going to do this and that. Confidently, 100% in their mind and their heart and their skills, they are going to finish this fight. Well, it's pretty obvious that both of them can't finish the fight, right. But like I said, in their hearts, man, they both believe they are going to finish this fight.
I'm excited too, man.
I can't wait.
So following that fight will be the featherweight title fight between Justin Wetzel and Andrew Childs. A little breakdown again of how that came about.
Well, Justin Wetzel, we just talked about that when he fought Jake. He won the 145 featherweight title last July. Grueling 5-round fight. When I say took a little time off, he only took a little time off in the cage. The guy trains his ass off. I mean, he drives an hour to train down here, then he trains up there in Sterling. I mean, he's all over the place. Obviously, everybody knows he's a jiu-jitsu practitioner. I mean, he does all the Naga tournaments, trains, Stephen Gladhill, Austin Hubbard, those guys, very, very well-rounded. I've seen an evolution in him as well with training footage and hopping in the gym to watch him. He's a deserving amateur champion. Not to disparage or take anything away from some shows I've been to, but some of these belts get thrown around like it's nothing, and it's just, I don't believe in that. I believe that if you're going to be a title holder in our promotion, even at the amateur level, you got to earn it, man, and you've got to fight guys that can take that from you or that can win it themselves, and he is a worthy champion. So he was the last fight I filled, and that was because I'm very adamant about, if you're going to fight for our belt, you have to be worthy of fighting for it, and you have to be able to take that belt. I don't protect champions. I don't believe in that. You have to be able to come here and take that belt to fight for it. Like it fell from the sky, we got a 15-1 Andrew Childs. The guys that I've talked to that know him and know his skill set say he should be pro. This is a 15-1 guy that's been fighting for like 5 years. He doesn't go out and fight after fight after fight after fight. He takes good fights, he takes challenging fights, and he brings everything he's got. But I don't care what type of opponents you had. If you got in the cage 16 times and you won 15 of those, and a lot of them by knockouts and by submissions, you show a well-roundedness to me that makes you worry that he'd come in under the banner for the first time and fight somebody like Justin Wetzel. So there's a tiny bit of uncertainty in this, but what I do know is that they're both trained fighters that are very well-rounded, that are comfortable at any aspect of the game, and I've been told by the guys that I talked to, you know, when I lined this fight up, that he is going to beat Justin with no problem. Now, I don't believe that, because I've followed Justin and I've watched his growth, and I've you know, watched him train. But man, if you tell me that you have no doubt, credible people telling me that they have no doubt that this guy's going to beat Justin, I'm sold. Let's do it.
Yeah, the 15-1 doesn't hurt either to to help sell that. We've seen Justin Wetzel fight before. We know what he's capable of. It's very fun, like you said, to come see these new guys. 15-1's scary. The fact that you also said that it was 5 years of 15-1, that does make a difference to where he's very smart. He's a smart fighter. He knows that he doesn't want to take a fight every month and have this 70-2 record or whatever. That sounds awesome, but you know, you're fighting and putting your body through the ringer, you know, every 2-3 weeks or every month. So yeah, 15-1 is really, that says a lot, not even knowing the person that says it.
Yeah.
So walking through Wetzel, I don't agree with that either, but man, we'll find out.
Yeah.
So yeah, excited, man.
Yeah, 15-1 over 5 years doesn't scream out bum slayer, and I hate seeing that. Like you know, and like you said, being in the sport for a while, I've been able to check out some other promotions, and you know, not going there personally, but just watching them on YouTube, and you know, just seeing how other people do it. And there's a definitive, incredible difference between a caged aggression show and the matchups and what some other people do. And that's not to knock them, but it's just to, you know, to give you praise for what you do. So if Andrew Childs has a 15-1 record and he's going to run through Wetzel, like, that's a fight that I want to see.
Who's undefeated?
Let's see that.
Know?
Let's see that. I want to see you try to do that.
I'm glad you brought that up, because Justin Wetzel's undefeated. One thing that I commend these fighters for on a regular basis is that we've built a reputation of, if you're going to fight for Mike Goodwin and you're going to fight in this show, you're going to fight equally tough opponents. And I commend these guys because you're getting undefeated versus undefeated, up and down the cards. You're getting guys that are high-level trained fighters that are fighting equally high-level trained fighters. You know, and I don't care who you are. If you're standing across from another guy that's as good as you are, I couldn't do that. You know what I mean? And I commend that you're doing that in front of your closest friends and family and fans, and all these people and all the exposure we give and all the stuff we put out online. I mean, hats off, because that's what makes all this work, is everybody collectively doing it for the fans, for the fighters, and I just think it's badass, man. 15-1 versus an undefeated Justin Wetzel is awesome.
Which also sets up this next fight for the welterweight title, Davenport Jackson versus Robert Reed. We know a whole lot about Reed. He is chomping at the bit to just continue his reign. And Jackson, what do you know about him?
Well, Davenport Jackson, one of the coolest, calmest, most collective, I got this anywhere. We just released his countdown trailer today, and when I interviewed him, he didn't really have any edge to him. He was just like, here's what it is. I will beat you here. I will beat you there. I'm definitely coming to take that belt. I don't care who you are. I absolutely loved it. I mean, he trains at the great camp. You're fighting somebody like Robert Reed, who has gotten better and better and better. The guy's working 10-hour nights, you know, second, third shift. He's at the gym at 5 a.m. taking a power nap before class starts. You know, I mean, he's living and breathing fighting while also working full-time, providing for his family. I mean, the thing about Robert Reed is that he wants to fight the best at his level, but he hasn't really had the opportunity to yet. You know, we had a situation where a fight fell off, and not to take anything away from his opponent, but I don't know if he was ready for Robert at that level and in that short of notice. So to get two guys locked in that are putting in a full camp, that are very confident in the fight, I mean, again, this is just the amateur card. This is worthy of a title fight to me. They match up well as far as, you know, again, they mirror each other as far as physique and height and everything and reach. Davenport is a kickboxer. I mean, come on. But he's a kickboxer that if you take him down, he's good. He's perfectly fine on the ground. So, yeah.
And good matchup, too, with knowing Reed, knowing his style. He's very vocal also.
Yeah.
So you've got him who's very vocal about what he can do. You've got Debonair that is very matter-of-fact, maybe not so vocal, but proofs in the pudding type of fighter, like this.
Yeah.
This is what I do, this is what I'm going to do. Reed's been very vocal about wanting some tougher opponents, too. And it looks like you got him one. The fact that his teammates are all over, spread across the card that night, they're pushing each other to levels where I don't even think any of us can even understand.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this is just what they do. You've got so many guys at the same camp fighting for the same during the same weekend. That does something too. And Robert Reed's got the title. He doesn't want to give it up. It's very apparent. So. Yeah, I'm always excited to see him fight. He's an interesting character. He knows we always give him a bunch of crap. He's so serious. The weekend of the fights, we try to shake him up a little bit and just mess with him. But he's so focused come that fight weekend and fight night that Jackson's got to really be cautious of that too. Coming into his hometown, all those little factors play and. Man, I'm excited to see this one.
Yeah,
sure.
I love out-of-town guys, you know, coming in, and especially for a title fight and somebody who we haven't really seen before. But just to speak on Reed for a second, his demeanor outside of the cage, and there's a lot of people who, you know, they may be cocky and they may be proud of, you know, what they're able to do, but they also bring that sort of demeanor into the cage with them, and it rubs me the wrong way. And Reed isn't like that. You know, he's business when he's in there. You know, he's not going to be showboating or, you know, trying to do anything crazy. He's going to go out there and get his win, and then after he gets his win, you're going to hear him.
Yeah.
And I'm perfectly fine with that. You know, if you get your W, celebrate. That's fine. That's perfect. But I don't like it when fighters come in and, you know, they're dancing around, and, you know, I don't really want to see that. I mean, let your fighting speak for you. And then once you get out and you're walking back to the locker room, then you can start your party then. But everything before that, I don't really like. So I'm glad that Reed isn't one of those types of guys.
Exactly. Let's go into the co-main event of the night. It's the 135-pound female bantamweight title fight.
Want to say something?
Pause.
No,
Right.
Well, give the names first.
Okay. All right. 135-pound female title fight between Kim Woods and Chloe Bonner. And go.
I'm 6'2", 305 pounds. Kim Woods scares me. She scares me. I haven't had the opportunity to talk to, and I feel like I need to call her Mrs. Woods. I haven't had the opportunity to talk to her a whole lot, but seeing the performance that she put on last time, she scares me. She is, you know, incredibly intense. And, you know, you can feel the intensity. You know, we're a few feet away, but you can feel it. And like I said, I'm 305, and I'm not stepping in there with her. Good.
Yeah, I mean, I was so excited to get this call because, you know, last March Kim fought for a vacant female title. She fought Jenna Fox. It was a 5-rounder. Kim's 50 years old. I mean, there's no secret here that she is 50 years old fighting in this show. And she's no slouch. I mean, she's been training 10, 20 years at Tarpons. She's very well-rounded. She didn't really get to showcase a lot of that with Jenna because she didn't really have to. That fight, she just kind of dominated and did her thing. When she gave me the call and said one more, I was ecstatic. But again, I need to go find somebody that can take this belt or has the ability to take it. So we went up to Hard Drive Mixed Martial Arts. They're one of the best camps in the Midwest as well. They build champions up there, and I meet Chloe Bonner. Marine, let's start there. Mentally, physically, you're a Marine, okay? She's been training 5 years with the likes of Keone and Eric Koch and, you know, Jordan Sanford, you know, Steve Carl, World Series of Fighting champion. I mean, she's training with legitimate beasts, confident. She's had only one mixed martial arts fight, but she's had 2 boxing matches, so she's coming in at 3-0 total. Kim Woods is 4-0. 2 undefeated ladies that are well-rounded. They'll stand and bang. They'll go to the ground. I'm flipping a coin on this because, and it's a co-main event for a reason, on a stacked night. There is a commodity still with female fighters, and the crowd loves it. So you can't have a 2-night epic pro-am event like this without a female fight, so it had to be a good one, and this one should live up to the hype.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on the Woods factor, just because when the bell rang and went off, she had this face on that looked like she wanted to eat Fox's face off.
Yes.
I don't know how, I mean, and it just kind of sent chills down our icy veins, you know, just watching, and she just went right for her. I mean, she just targeted her, went for her, and it was, I hadn't seen it in a while,
And
that
I remember,
intensity of a fight from a fighter.
I'm sorry to interrupt, I get excited about this one. Her leg kicks, like, I mean, just chopping, you know, her opponent down, and just the strength and the power behind that. And I don't really get scared. Like a lot of the guys on the card, I'm not really afraid of, but I'm afraid of Kim Woods.
I mean, it's just that grizzled vet. I mean, when you got that in the cage too, you've got to give that a lot of respect. Just seen a lot, trained a lot, been through a lot, and that came out perfectly in the cage for that night. Got her the belt, and I'm very excited to see her on the card again, co-main event. I think it's a perfect placement, like you said, for the fight. Everybody's going to be, you know, good and ready by that point for this and main event, and she's going to open up some eyes too that maybe didn't get the pleasure of seeing her fight. They might think one way or another because of age and all that stuff, and they're going to be very surprised to see what goes on. And also with Bonner too, I'm excited to see.
Yeah, I want to see that. If you're putting somebody up against Kim, you know, that's an ultimate compliment. So I really want to see Kim pushed, and from the likes of it and the sounds of it, sounds like Bonner's going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, Kim Woods, she even said in her interview that she wasn't happy with last March. You know, when you dominate for 5 rounds and you're not happy, and she said this one's going to be much, much better, that's exciting. And we have yet to, and probably will never, bring anybody down from hard drive that doesn't blow us away. You know what I mean? They're like I said, they're one of the best camps around because they put in the work. They put in the hard work that makes the fight easy. So, man, I love the matchup.
So leading into our main event, finally, Rafael Bazdaldua gets a title fight at lightweight versus Luke Rodriguez. Awesome fight. Please tell us more about how this came about. We're both very familiar with Rafael and a little bit now with Luke. Yeah,
I mean, obviously, back to the Challengers show, I was looking who was ready for the 55. Luke Rodriguez was supposed to fight Dietrich a while ago. It didn't work out a couple times. Fight finally happened, and it was a Luke that I was hoping to see. I mean, he just came out confident, ready, focused. He was good on his feet. He was great on the ground. I mean, he was dominant in every aspect. And you don't dominate Austin Dietrich. I don't care how much he's been training, how much he hasn't been. I don't care. He is a very good fighter. He's great on the ground. He's strong. And Luke handled business quick, efficiently, and in impressive fashion. Rafael, I mean, gosh, no stranger. The guy just wants to fight. I mean, he's not doing this to be rich. He's not doing this to be on television or be in the UFC. Rafael is a guy that absolutely loves to train, and he loves to fight. He has been waiting for this 155 title shot for a very, very long time. You know, it just hasn't worked out, and it's unfortunate. I'm proud to be able to give him this opportunity. You know, and there's no secret. He tells everybody that he wants to take a belt home to his daughter. I mean, I got 3 kids. I commend that, because there's something that pulls on the heartstrings there, that you got a guy that every day is not just training to fight to win. This guy's training to fight to take something home to his daughter. And that's scary. That's scary. You got a guy on the other side of the fence that's not scared. I mean, I never seen somebody so chill to be a main event title fight in a great matchup, just like, yep, it's going to be my toughest fight. I'm ready. Let's go. They both asked for it. They both got it. They're both deserving of it. They're both deserving of the main event on a ridiculous card. This one comes down to, but I believe, resilience and cardio. You know, this is a 5-round fight. Neither guy's going to get, you know, finished right out of the gate. It doesn't work like that with these 2 type of fighters. So I expect a battle. Yeah, and Rodriguez was definitely somebody that stuck out to me on the Challengers fight card as well. Obviously, I've known and trained and friends with Rafael for a long time, and like you said, his level of training's on a whole, on a whole different level, to use the word again. This is a big step up for Luke already to get this title fight, to go from Challengers to the title fight versus Rafael.
I don't know if he is completely understanding how big of a jump that is quite yet. But I think as the fight gets near and he's going to start feeling like, man, this is where I've got to really step it up again.
Sure.
Cardio has been a thing for Rafael in the past, just a little bit. I know he's upped his training a lot too, so Luke a little bit younger too, that's a factor in there. There's a lot of factors in here that you could pro and con column for each guy.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that Rafael's been really waiting for this title fight for a long time, and like you said, he's got a few other things, may give him the push, but I don't know, man. Rodriguez, after that Challengers, man, he just killed it.
Well, yeah, Rafael, unfortunately his losses have come to submissions. Yeah. So what do you got a guy who's been training with Nick Tarpin for a long time, and come on. I mean, you're taking a guy's strength and putting it against a guy's weakness. He's training for that, and then you got Luke who knows that. I mean, I love the fight. Love it.
Yep, going to be a good one. You sit and you have a second to look up and down the card, and I feel bad because I'm not really looking at the camera. I just keep looking over here, and I'm, I've seen the card and I've seen it come together, and just to cap it off with a fight like this, and like you were saying, Rodriguez getting the opportunity to do this against Bazador, who's and has been around a long time,
yeah.
And we've done these before and talked about how he's had opponents who switched, or something has happened, he's dropped weight or he's went up in weight, like he's just one of those guys who's willing to fight whenever, hasn't had that opportunity to really shine, but this is it for him. So I really want to see if he's able to take advantage of that against someone who's up and coming and really, really hungry. Yeah,
I want to touch base on that too. A lot of people don't know this because they don't know the behind the scenes of the business aspect of it, but we are roughly 2 weeks out and we've got 48 guys and girls locked down. We've got them filmed. We've got them, their matchups released. We have 2 complete fight cards locked down 2 weeks out from the show. That's unheard of. But the craziest part is it's been locked down for, a month and a half, 2 months. We have hand-selected 48 fighters that take this opportunity, and they're not looking for excuses and reasons to back out. They're not just trying to be on a poster or in a video. These are committed, hard-working mixed martial artists, and we can't do a 2-night event. We can't do it the way we do it with the investments and the traveling without this type of lineup. So once again, I got to give my hats off because we're in the promotion stage now where it's all out, it's all ready to go. They're in the final stages of the training camps and cutting the weight, and I mean, it's just awesome. Hats off once again for your level of professionalism and your commitment. It's awesome.
And this is only the first night.
Yeah, that's night one.
This is night one. So right now, if you're watching this, and I believe we'll snip it up, and like you do with your magic,
yes,
you'll do that. But we'll also put one that's out that just you can roll on through and watch. So this is where they go to the bathroom, right? Get something to drink, get some food.
Take a time out.
This is where you do that. We'll sit here and wait for you to get back. No, I'm just kidding.